Hey guys, welcome to A Novel Affair.
The bookish podcast where we kiss and tell about our torrid affairs with fictional characters.
So grab a drink and get ready for some pure, unadulterated fun.
Today, we are covering book two of the Crescent City series, House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to head over to the podcast for a completely uncensored review, including all of the dirty details. Just look for the link below.
So, I'm excited. Again, we're in book two of me forcing you to read this series that I love so much. And this is a very in depth book in terms of it's got a very intricate plot and so many characters. And because of all the characters and how like robust they are, I want us to do cast the book again because we have more characters, we're getting to know them more. And let's trade off. I'll start.
Okay. Okay.
My Fury Axtar, first of all, I did take a moment. I was struggling with this one. And so I looked up her fan art.
hmm
And in the fan art, she is an Asian female with like the severe short black hair, which totally fits.
Yeah.
But by the time I looked it up, it was way too late for me to kind of re envision her. So my cast for her is purely what I was envisioning in my head the first few times I've read it. And for me, it's pink. And specifically the bright blonde, short cropped hair. I know that's not like what it describes in the book at all, but like she's like that.
But we don't always picture them the way that they're written. Sometimes we rewrite
I
the
totally do. I
descriptions.
totally do. So pink is my cast for, and also like, I don't know, she just looks like she could like totally beat you up if she wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, she gives that vibe. That what's the song by her where she's talking about fighting? Oh. Oh, I'm gonna have to listen. I'm gonna have to look it up and listen to it because
Yeah.
it's gonna bother me. Um, but I feel like that's a good choice. The vibe.
Yeah,
I can see it.
it's more the vibe. And I don't know why I pictured her having like short spiky blonde hair, but I did from the first time I read it. So, I don't know. My brain is weird.
I had always pictured her like very dark with the jet black hair and maybe like dark as night eyes, kind of like my eyes. And like maybe dark makeup, black eyeshadow, black lipstick. For some reason, I just envisioned her like blending into the night.
Mhm. Which makes sense.
But I chose to cast her as a young Lucy Liu.
I love it.
I yeah.
It's funny that you picked that because when I did the fan and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if I should like redirect my casting." And I thought of Lucy Liu, but I was like, "No. I'm going to go with my gut on this one, but I 100% co-sign this."
With her, I definitely got like the Charlie's Angels vibe, but less uh cheesy,
Yeah,
more more badass, like more of a serious like thriller vibe versus
more
the
authentic.
action comedy, yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
But
Okay. So next obviously would be Juniper Andromeda. And I didn't look up fan art on this one because my vision is of Juniper has been so strong from the beginning. And I didn't really know this person before I started looking this up. But her name is Michelle Westbrooks, and she is a like social media influencer that turned into a reality TV star. And there's like a TV show called The Westbrooks. But for me, it's her natural curly hair and like the chocolatey skin. And she just seems like I don't know. That is exactly the vibe that I had always pictured with Juniper.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it. I chose something very similar, or well, someone very similar. I actually had two people in mind, but I leaned more towards Anna Schaefer. Anna Schaefer.
Oh my gosh, we were really close on that one.
It's very close. The other person that I had in mind was Madison Pettis, which I don't know if you know who she is. She played in the game plan with The Rock. She was the little girl. I mean, she's
I'm
grown up and all
vaguely,
beautiful
it's,
now,
yeah, yeah, it's vaguely ringing a bell. But yeah, that's
but
crazy that we were like
yeah.
pretty close on that one.
The reason I leaned more towards Schaefer was because Madison Pettis just seemed a little too young to cast for that part. Like, even though
Yeah.
she's like the right age for it, it's just she seems like her look is a little too,
Hmm.
like me, looks just a little too young for it.
So I
We were very
totally
close.
cheated on the next one, which is Therian Ketos, who
Did too.
I love. I love Therian. He's one of my favorite
Mm-hmm.
side characters in the book. I love his attitude. I love his voice on the audiobook. It's like spot on what I imagined. It's kind of like
Yeah.
gravelly, but not overly deep, but kind of raspy, gravelly. Anyway, so you had made a comment in our previous episode that you had imagined him as like Aquaman, Ryan Reynolds mashup. And
Yeah.
that like dug into my brain, I
Can't see it
guess.
any other way now, can you?
Yeah, but so I picture this like Viking-esque kind of facial features with the red beard and the long hair, but like a Jason Momoa vibe. So I just went ahead and cast Jason Momoa from Aquaman, but like not the bright green and gold suit, but the like the tattoos like coming out of the water, like
Yeah.
as pictured.
I think it's funny because we once again are so similar in what we chose. Because I chose Kevin Creekman, and I specifically chose an image of him coming out of the water.
I am not mad about that photo at all.
He, again, we're so similar in this thought, but that's that's what he is. He's like this big burly Viking dude. But again, he's got like the personality of like Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah.
just
But he's
smart
like a
ass and
mare,
flirty.
and I don't know why that's hot, but it is. Like I picture like I don't know.
I
Can't,
get it. I think we all get it.
yeah, okay. So, but loving me some Therian. Um so then I chose Ethan Holstrom. We just start to kind of get to know him better in this book. He continues to show up more and more. We get to know him better, but I thought now would be a good time to cast him. And if you had said this name to me without a photo reference, I wouldn't have been able to visualize it. But I chose Luke Hemsworth, which is the one of the Hemsworth brothers, the not Thor and the not Liam Hemsworth, because he's got this
They all
like
get so confusing.
it does. He's got this like kind of baby face, like the blue eyes, but he's like compared to his brothers, he's like the average one.
Yeah.
And I
There's
just
actually in the good place he shows up where he acts as himself, and he's got like this thing about him where he's constantly like, "What, am I not good enough? Is it because I'm not one of my other brothers? What are you thinking about? Is it about my other brothers?"
I can only
It's like a whole
imagine.
thing. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
But imagined him just I don't know, the like blonde, clean cut, kind of he could totally pass for a baseball player, probably, maybe. Um, so yeah, that's my Ethan.
I can I can see it. I kind of went a different way with it. I chose Dansby Swanson, the baseball player. because he's got like the somewhat longish curly hair, and he just has this kind of like boyish charm to him. There was one specific photo where he was like laughing, and I was like, that's him.
So
Just the wrong eye color.
your choice definitely is giving more wolfy vibes. So
I think that's why it was that.
yeah, I agree with that. Um, well chosen. I think you did a better cast the book than me on that one. So then we have Jessica Roga. I thought this was fun because I love Jessica and she's just like, I don't know, she's cool. I want to be Jessica when I grow up. And I chose Angelica Huston, who is most well known, well, was most well known to me. She played Morticia Adams in the Adams Family, but not that Angelica Huston. I imagine like a young, glamorous Angelica Huston, not like with the whole Adams Family thing. Because I feel like Jessica is more like subtle than that.
Yeah, I can see that. I I liked her in the Adams Family, but I also liked her in was it called Witches? He
Yes.
was called Witches. I
Yes.
loved her in that too.
I mean, and
But
she's a
I feel like it's
sorceress.
accurate. I feel like it's accurate. I chose I don't even know if I'm pronouncing her name right, but Charlize Theron.
Yes. Okay.
She played in the Atomic Blonde, but the image I chose specifically is how I picture
Oh,
Jessica.
yes. Yes,
Just like
agreed.
very nonchalant with like a death glare, like a I'm gonna fuck you up.
I love this picture because I also imagine Jessica, even though I don't think it ever says this in the book, I imagine her always having a cigarette in her hand.
Yeah, same.
Like just even maybe one of those long Cruella de Vil like French
That's
cigarette
exactly what
holder
ran through my head.
situations. Yes. So with that same page. And I didn't even look to see if we get a description of what she looks like. So I don't know. We could both be way off.
I mean, that's possible. I'm not entirely sure what the description was on her. There was just always this like description of her vibe,
Yes.
and that's purely what like drove me.
Agreed. So then, per your request, we have Adis, Prince of the Chasm, who appears as a cat sometimes. Mine is
Yeah.
probably going to be pretty predictable, but I chose Tom Hiddleston, who is known for playing Loki in the Avenger movies. Um, Maybe not quite as like in the full Loki getup, but the like long
Yeah,
hair, kind of pale, kind of broody, that kind
I
of
can
thing.
see that. I can see it. I chose Christopher Mason because I got like a bad boy vibe from him.
Someone has a crush on Adis, obviously.
I do. Okay, there is something about a prince of hell, okay? Blasphemy, God's gonna strike me.
I love it.
Then I can be with Adis. So
So I mean, this is just, I know you, I know your book boyfriend type. So I'm not surprised by this at all. But I can say that this guy is really hot and he's not my normal type because I don't normally do the like blonde, like pretty boy,
yeah.
pretty face type thing. But he was in the motorcycle movie with Tom Hardy, who the name of this movie is escaping me, but just came out like within the past year. And he is like smoking hot. And there's like this scene where like him and the like his love interest or whatever have just met, and he's like doing that
Hmm.
thing from across the room while he's playing pool, and I was just like, oh my gosh. Um, so this wasn't what I imagined, but I'm willing to go with it. I'm totally willing to take this journey with you.
It's almost a Jax Teller Sons of Anarchy vibe,
Mm-hmm.
which for some
Mm-hmm.
reason it just
It's
it is what it is.
long live
All the
Jax
book
Teller.
girlies understand what it is.
That's all I have to say is long live Jax. Say what you will about Sons of Anarchy. To me, Sons of Anarchy is basically like a smut TV show.
Yeah.
Like,
They thought they were making it for the men.
they weren't.
It's literally just a dark romance come to life.
They totally were making it for us. Agreed. So this was
That is
fun.
our cast the book.
I love it. This
Let
was
us
fun.
know what you think.
I want to do it one more time. I think we have enough characters in this series to do it one more time
Oh,
when we
for
get
sure.
to Flame and Shadow.
Her her character bible has got to be as big as the fucking book itself because the number of characters, the number of creatures, the little side characters that just show up once or twice. I mean, you've got to remember all that when you're writing.
I can
So
only imagine.
that character bible has got to be like this fucking thick.
Well, that not only that, but there's like 15,000 years of history woven into this book.
It's insane. Like
So,
the mind that created something like this is almost like Lord of the Rings mind.
I just need like 1% of that, and I would just be so much better at life.
Yeah, for sure. If she creates her own language, like a full language, like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, I'll be fully sold on her, on Moss. Like, in love with her. Because that's going to be, if she manages to do that, she's going to be a legend.
I agree. Okay, so you have not read this before, and I
No.
have some things because again, I know you that I feel like I am expecting you to say about this book, but I'm going to just tee it up for you. We
Okay.
start this book in the prologue in the middle of an action scene in a different continent from the book we were just on. And we have two new characters. We have Sophie Renast and Agent Silverbow, and this gaggle of children. We have this organization called Ophion, and Peppas, Pippa Spetsos, all happening right there and just hits you right full frontal in the prologue.
I am just really angry that she once again, like she did in the first book, made you fall in love with a character just to immediately fucking gut them. Why?
I don't know why she
Like,
does
I
this
would
to
have
us.
really loved to have seen more of Sophie. Okay. This, and then what she does later on in regards to Sophie throughout the first part of this book pissed me off too, because why? Why was that necessary?
Are you talking about the is she alive, is she not alive thing?
Yes. The
Yeah.
false hope.
Yeah. It's rough. It's totally
The
rough.
fuck?
So I kind of
I
knew that
digress.
you were getting dropped into a whole new layer of world building just when you thought that you had the world like fully your head wrapped around it. We have all these new, we have what did I say? I said Sophie Renast. We have her brother Emil. We have Agent Silverbow, Pippa Spetsos. We also have the Hind and the Dreadwolves. And I was thinking as I
Oh my
reread, I
gosh.
was like, Destiny's gonna be so mad.
I need a template of the terms in each book. Granted, though, okay, after the first one, this information dump was not as bad. Not by long shot, because we knew like the actual terms of the world, like the drop, first light. You know, we understood. The one thing I'm still not clear on though, and call me stupid if you would like.
I would
I don't
never.
care. You might not, but they might. But I don't care. So they are in Lunathian, aka Crescent City,
Hmm.
on the planet.
Of Midgard.
Yes. Is Valbaran the continent they're on?
So Lunathian is on the
That's not made clear.
Lunathian is on the continent of Valbara,
Okay.
and Pangera is another continent where the Asteri live.
Here's where it confused me. Here's why it confused me is because, for instance, Prince Ruhn Dannon is Crown Prince of the Valbaran Fae.
Mm-hmm.
The prime is the prime of the Valbaran wolf.
Correct.
But they're only presiding over the ones in Crescent City,
Correct.
not the ones on the rest of Valbara. So it didn't make sense to me why they were ruling over all of that when they're not actually ruling over all that. Why their title says they are, but they're not.
So it doesn't, we don't really talk about any of the Fae in other parts of Valbara, but the way that I imagine it is that Crescent City is like the metropolis of the Valbaran continent. And so there might be other like regions, but I think these leaders are still leaders of those races or clans or whatever across this continent.
So would it be more like in a our world sense, they're more like governors, and in other parts, in other cities, they would be the mayors, the alphas, or the
Yeah,
whatever.
I think so. But that's a
It,
fair point of contention.
it kind of confused me there for a minute because the title didn't match with the
Yeah.
behavior.
The what's more clear is the structure of the Asteri, right? Are
Mhm.
the top ones, right? And then they have an archangel that governs over each. They have it like split into regions, into territories.
Right.
And then the archangel has their triari, which are angels, and they make that much more clear, like which archangel governs over which
Right.
territory and all that. Um,
I mean, all in all, they're all controlled by the Astari, so
yes.
nobody's decisions really matter in the end.
So then, as
Illuminati.
yeah, as I'm reading this, I get past the prologue, and then we get to where right there in chapter one, we find out that Bryce and Hunt have made an agreement that they're going to wait until winter solstice. And I'm laughing as I'm reading it because I'm like, I know Destiny's going to have some shit to say about this.
Listen, yeah, I would say that I am not a book whore. Okay, But that would be a complete fabrication of the truth. I need the smut to happen in a romance book. If I am reading a thriller or, like Sherlock Holmes or Stephen King, I'm not expecting smut, okay? But if you are going to put this much emphasis on a relationship romantically and then throughout that put actual tension in the mix, you need to give the smut. And you, Missy, promised me pickles.
Huh?
I did. We're going to get
So
into
when
this
I
more in
read
just a minute.
that, so whenever I read that in the opening scenes, I literally looked at my book, saw that, closed it, and was like, this bitch.
Agreed. So, okay,
Gross.
I think I'm ready to bring up the point that I've been wanting to talk to you about since this discussion came up. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we get another smut scene with
Uh-huh.
Bryce and Hunt. Okay. And they are sharing a bed because they've let Ethan have the guest room because he has nowhere else to go so far. And we get what I think is a fantastic scene. Just my opinion. One, I don't think we get enough of those. I don't want to say this because I know you're going to clip it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. But I'm a big fan of jobs, okay? I think they are really underrated, and I think we should have more scenes in smut, okay? But what I want to know is, do count as a pickle? And if not, why?
No. Short answer, no. But it is close second. For me, in particular, there is nothing like the actual paid smut scene.
You're
Whether
ta-
it's making love or whether it's just it it's different.
But what you're
But
talking about, you're saying that it doesn't count unless there's penetration.
yes. I'm not going to say it doesn't count, but I'm saying it gets like half a point versus a whole point.
Okay.
Think
But
of it like a
like,
needle. It's moved to the yellow, but we're not in the red.
so here's my issue with that is that there is so much pleasure to be had outside of penetration
I'm
that
not saying there's not.
plus his pickle was in the scene described on the page. And I just think it should count. That's all. So here's what I will say. I think, despite the fact that we have not gotten to a technical pickle per Destiny's definition, that these are pretty good scenes.
They are
I'm
good. They are well written.
I'm a fan of how they're written. But we get immediately after this fantastic by Bryce. Good job. Apollyon, the Prince of the Pit, visits Hunt in his
Yes.
dream. And it's terrifying. I love how these characters that are supposed to be scary really do come across as like super scary. But we got another Prince of Hell, and so I knew you'd want to talk about it.
Is there something wrong with me that I did not find him scary?
Probably. I'm just kidding.
So far, there's only one that freaked me out, and that was at the Mystic, and we didn't even see him. But these two didn't frighten me. I,
I
I've got issues.
I think it was that Hunt was scared, and Hunt's like not scared of anything.
That just made me switch from Hunt to him. I have issues apparently with whoever is the strongest male in the room. Apparently,
I mean, I would totally watch them fight shirtless.
hold on, I'm picturing it.
We were spot on with one of those theories. That was who I thought it was in the beginning. I think this is I don't know. I love this stuff that she does where it's a very intentional mystery. It's very like, I don't know. There's subtle mysteries, there's surprises, but there's also these where you're like actively trying to figure it out, which I
Yeah.
think for the author puts even more pressure to like give hints but not give it away. Ah. So are you ready to rate this book?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I'm going to let you lead this off.
All right. So the ratings for this are purely just for this book as a whole.
Mhm.
Not Earth, Sky and Breath.
Yes.
So my overall score, about an 8 out of 10. It got way better than the first book because we do get pickles in this one.
Yes, we do.
So overall score, 8 out of 10. As for content itself, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. What do you think
So
overall on content?
my overall is 9 out of 10. There was some moments that I think I enjoyed more just because. But and then I also said content is a 9 out of 10. I think I love her ability to surprise me.
Yeah.
So, what about Spice?
Okay, so I'm still coming at it from like a dark romance girly point of view,
Mm-hmm.
and it still took in this book alone between probably right around like 450 pages to get a pickle.
Yeah.
And then we get maybe a couple more scenes after that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give Spice like a 5.5 out of 10. The scenes were top notch amazing,
Sure.
but there were very few of them, and she used a word that I can't stand.
Uh-oh. What word is that?
She used nub, and she used mound.
I totally blacked out on that because I don't like that
Yeah.
word either. But
I
yeah,
just,
yeah,
just say the word.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
either say or say I
It,
can't say it on YouTube,
yeah.
but the P, okay? Just say the word.
Mm-hmm.
I get you don't want to be repetitive, but there are certain words in smut you just don't use because it doesn't sound sexy. Nub, not sexy. I'm thinking of like an amputated thumb, okay?
Yeah, that's what yeah.
Not sexy.
I do not like mound, and I actually must have just blocked it out because I totally didn't even realize that that was said. Not a good word.
I don't like either of those.
I rated Spice 7 out of 10 because I do love the spice in this book, but I agree with you that there's not enough of it.
I feel like there was so much more that could have been done with the two of them and smut wise. Like, I get the
Mm-hmm.
whole book isn't about smut. That's not what we came to
It's not
Crescent
the
City for.
primary, yeah. But we do
But
want
I feel like
more
there's
of it.
so much potential with Hunt and
Yes,
Bryce.
agreed.
With their personalities, they could have done some, crazy wild stuff, and it just been hot as hell.
Yeah,
Really didn't get a whole lot.
I agree.
Romance, though, 9 out of 10.
Same.
I love the romance between them. I love their dynamic, even though she just consistently lies to him. I love the romance between the two of them.
I 9 out of 10 also. I love the romance between so many of the characters.
Yeah.
I love the Ruhn and Day. I love like there's so many. There's I'm here for it.
I have to agree with that. I may not like that it's the Hind, but the connection between the two and the romance where they don't even know who each other are, and they're still forming that deep connection.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Cormac and Baxian, who are so utterly in love with somebody, even though they're gone, they're still fighting the cause that they were when they were alive. That love ran deep.
I cannot. And then the thought of having a mate and losing them, especially the how big of a deal that is in this world. It's yeah, but it's I don't know. It's
We
really well written
we
romance.
know how rough that can be if you've read Akatar.
Yes.
You understand how deep that mate bond goes. Because that book made you feel it.
Yeah, agreed.
But writing, for her writing style, I'm I'm gonna give that a 9 out of 10. I liked it. Even the characters that irritated me, she wrote them so well that they did irritate you. All of everybody and everything elicit a reaction out of you. And that's good writing.
I agree with that. I rated the writing in this one. I did 8 out of 10 and here's why. I was really frustrated by Ethan Ethan and Therian's storyline. It just lost it a little bit. Yes, she did a great job of making us care, but I feel like there were other choices. I don't know. It just wasn't like it didn't hit me the same way everything else did with those. It kind of took away from some of the other stuff for me.
I can see that. Holding you've read the third book. I haven't, but I'm holding out for their character arcs before I pass judgment upon that.
That's
So I feel
valid.
like it's gonna get better. What did you think for characters?
I said 9 out of 10 because even if some of the plot lines are frustrating, they're still like just quality characters. Even these antagonist characters like the Viper Queen and the River Queen and like they're such rich villains or antagonists like just very complex. Every character in here has multiple facets to them. Even like the
Yeah.
Underking, like even these small, characters we don't even spend that much time with. The astronomer. There's so much complexity in these characters that I'm a big fan.
Um, I agree with you. I rate a 9 out of 10 for that as well. For all the same reasons. Every character, no matter how small, is just so well rounded, and that's something she's been able to keep up with in every book she writes.
And there's so many characters. It's impressive.
Again, her character Bible has got to be bigger than the book itself, because holy
Insane.
crap,
Insane.
it really is. I won't say a whole lot because this is the part that goes into YouTube and I don't want to spoil anything. But oh my goodness, she pisses me off.
She is such a little brat.
She's giving like that girl in high school that's like, oh, hold on, no, I'm wrong. You know what she's giving? Draco Malfoy.
Yeah.
Wait till my father hears about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I
be
agree.
prepared. If you read this, she might be the one character that just makes you want to put the book down
You really
because
just want to flick her right between her eyeballs.
she's so annoying. So
100%
annoying.
agreed.
That's the last thing I just wanted to add there. But that's a wrap for this episode. As always, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed our take on this steamy book, and we will see y'all next week on A Novel Affair.
Where we will be discussing the third and final book in the Crescent City series, House of Flame and Shadow.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and get brand new episode in your feed every week. Don't forget to hit the notifications button.
And if you haven't already, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We'll see y'all soon.